All the reasons President Trump cited for his decision to pull out of the agreement actually legit. Special Summit Unit investigative reporter Eric Flack has a fact check tonight.
In that wide-ranging speech announcing his decision to pull out of the Paris Climate Accord, President Trump made a number of statements that deserve a second look. The president said, "We're getting out, but we will start to negotiate and we will see if we can make a deal that's fair." Now, here's the thing. According to the Paris Accord itself, the agreement doesn't require any specific level of emissions cuts. Each nation, including the U.S., gets to choose its own level of emissions reductions and decide what's fair. The president could have just changed U.S. emissions targets and stayed in the deal. So that statement is misleading. Now, according to our news partners at the Washington Post, the U.S. does contribute to something called the Green Climate Fund, a pool of money that pays for climate change improvements in poor nations. In his speech, the president claimed those funds were being raided out of America's budget for the war against terrorism. But the Post reports U.S. contributions to that fund come from the Treasury and not some war chest to fight terror, so that claim would be false. President Trump also said this: even if the Paris Agreement were implemented in full, it is estimated it would only produce a 0.2 degree Celsius reduction in global temperature by the year 2100. Now, it is true that current commitments from the nations in the Paris Accord are not enough to meet the 2-degree reduction goal set by the agreement. But this analysis by MIT found it would reduce the planet's warming a full degree Celsius in that time, a cut that would have a positive impact on the environment, according to scientists. So that statement would be false. Finally, on China, the president said China will be able to increase these emissions by a staggering number of years, 13. They can do whatever they want for 13 years, not us. Again, the agreement does not bind any nation to any emissions target. Each nation can set whatever goals it chooses. The Post reports it is true China chose to let its carbon emissions continue to rise for the next 13 years before then declining. But that same report says to ensure that decline happens, China cannot do whatever it wants, as the president indicated. And in January, China actually canceled plans to build more than 100 coal-fired power plants. So that statement is misleading at best. Eric Flack, WUSA 9.
It's a lot to process.